Hello, and thank you for watching this Northeast Regional Forecast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, the story over the next 10 days is going to just continue to be the very cold temperatures with the chance for some accumulating snow, especially as we head into early next week. But really, it's the reloading of these areas of high pressure bringing cold, dry Arctic air masses into the eastern half, the eastern two-thirds of the country, essentially everyone along and east of the Rockies dealing with anomalously cold air as we head through the next 10 days. The precipitation expected to be rather light across the midsection of the country, but the exception here is going to be along the east coast getting into the northeast region here, where we may have an area of low pressure develop and bring some more significant precipitation to this region as we head into the early and middle part of next week. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. As we look at the last 48 hours of precipitation, we did see a quick moving system drop some snow across parts of the high plains into the Great Lakes, and that continued on into the northeast region as well, with some light snow in the north, some light rain off toward the south. As we look at the current snow depth across the U.S., again, here's that corridor from the Dakotas into the Great Lakes, and that light snow here across parts of New York into getting into New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, even parts of northern Pennsylvania, and high elevation portions here into central Pennsylvania having some light snow on the ground here as a result of that last storm system. It's in these very same areas that we'd end up with another reinforcing shot of several inches at least here across that region here early next week. We'll start with the now right now, though, looking at the satellite picture as we wake up on Friday morning. Here is the original frontal boundary, the cloud cover and precipitation associated with that moving out of the region. As we look at the northeast region, though, still seeing some patchy snow flurries as a result of some lake effect snow as we bring very cold winds, northwest flow over the top of those still relatively warm and thawed lake waters. Again, that is as a result of the very strong area of high pressure situated over the mid-Mississippi Valley here on this Friday morning. Again, clockwise flow around that, bringing the very cold air over the top of the Great Lakes and into the northeast region here, leading to this very cold end of the week and some of those snow flurries in isolated spots of the northeast. Now, as we look at the radar picture, you can pick up on some of those if you kind of squint, move closer to the screen, seeing some of those snow bands, some of those snow flurries here as a result of the lake effect snow across parts of the northeast region, and then seeing the front moving off to the south and to the east with rain along the Gulf Coast and the Atlantic coast. Now, looking at temperatures on Friday morning, brutally cold across parts of the Great Lakes here, where we dropped below zero overnight, where we had some snow on the ground across Wisconsin and portions of Michigan, dropping down into the single digits and perhaps below zero in some of the higher elevation areas here in parts of the northern northeast region. But at the very least, most everyone in the northeast waking up to a cold morning here with temperatures in the 20s and 30s. Again, that as a result of this very large area, this very strong area of high pressure, clockwise flow around that. And again, the problematic pattern over the last year has been the reloading of areas of low pressure across the midsection of the country, bringing significant precipitation to this region. Now, I'm not going to advertise this pattern is going to linger for months or into next spring, but the problematic pattern now is kind of these reloading areas of high pressure coming in from the northwest, bringing in a brutally cold Arctic air mass to the central and eastern half of the country. So we'll play this out watching this first area of high pressure as we end the work week here situated over the Midwest. As we begin to head through the weekend, this area of high pressure kind of weakens and begins to move off to the east. But then as we get into the early part of next week, the end of the weekend, watching our next anomalously significant area of high pressure developing across the Canadian prairie, sliding into the very same spot here in the midsection of the country as we get into early next week, and that delivers the next reinforcing shot of very cold air to our area. You see this area of low pressure, though, moving through the northeast. This is what could bring areas of some accumulating snow across northern and western portions of the northeast, and then some rain along and south of that. We'll go ahead and take a look at the precipitation forecast now, first focusing just on the weekend, watching these lake effect snow flurries come to an end as we head into the early part of the weekend. So dealing with some of these snow flurries as we head through the day on Friday, but the trajectory changes a bit and we kind of bring that to an end as we head into the day on Saturday, likely a quiet Saturday for just about everyone across the northeast region. But by the time we get to Sunday, perhaps the chance for some light precipitation moving across the area, delivering, again, we'll look at the total accumulating snow here as we head through Sunday. Again, just looking for some very light corridors here where some of the lake effect snow could deliver some accumulating snow in some narrow bands here, but it's not until we get to early next week that we see the more widespread chance for significant precipitation as this storm system moves through the region. So let's go ahead. We'll let this play for a moment until I get this the little scroller bar to show up, if it ever is going to do so, which it looks like it's not. I'll just have to yield to technology here and just click through. So going through the weekend, we've got high pressure situated over the east coast. Again, that keeping things quiet across the northeast region in a large-scale fashion. And then as we head into Sunday, watching perhaps some light flurries, some light showers move through the northeast region. And then we see this next area of low pressure along with the next polar front making its way through the northeast region on Monday, delivering some snow Monday into Monday night across the northeast region as that front sweeps through. Now, how much snow are we talking about? A relatively light precipitation as we head through the next week, looking at the total liquid precipitation, looking at amounts here north of northern New York into Vermont, New Hampshire, and northern Maine. That's where we could see the more significant precipitation north of an inch when we talk about liquid equivalent. South of that, talking about much lighter precipitation, a trace to a half of an inch. As we look at the snow equivalent of that, just taking this also through the next week. More significant precipitation. If you want 6 inches or more, you are going to have to head north to northern New York, parts of northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and northern Maine. Along and south of that, where we do have the chance for some accumulating snow, we are talking about much lighter amounts, probably a trace to maybe 3 or 4 inches as we talk about Pennsylvania, southern New York, and then the southern halves of New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, getting into Massachusetts and New Jersey. So the chance for some snow here, but not likely talking about significant accumulation unless you head off to the north and to the west. We're looking here at the probability from both the European on the top and the GFS ensemble models here, the probability of 3 inches or more accumulating as we head through the next week. The bulk of this, again, following with that Monday and Tuesday storm system. And again, you see the higher probabilities, those red shadings, highest as you head off to the north across the northeast region. So again, from central Pennsylvania into Jersey, New Hampshire, from Pennsylvania into Jersey, Massachusetts, that area along in through that corridor, probably talking about a trace to maybe 2, maybe 3 inches. If you head north of that line through the northern 2/3 of New York, northern New Hampshire, Vermont, and northern Maine, that's where you have the higher probabilities, getting north of 3 to 6, maybe 10 or more inches of snow well off to the north. Now we can watch the cold air masses here. The first one making its way through the Midwest right now, the core of that with temperatures 10 to 20 degrees colder than average from Minnesota, Wisconsin, south into the mid-south. As we watch this kind of move off to, let me go ahead and get the drawing ability back, sorry, as I'm clicking around. Taking this into next week, watching that next core of very cold air move in as we get into Sunday and Monday. Again, the very coldest air moving into the region here Tuesday and Wednesday as we talk about the northeast region, and that's where we could see temperatures anywhere from 10, 20, maybe isolated areas here, 25 degrees colder than average as we head into the middle part of next week. So your high temperatures then just for the weekend into early next week. The highs for the day on Friday, that being today, below freezing as you head across parts of New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, into Maine. Temperatures topping out in the lower 40s as you head off to the south. Warming up slightly for the day on Saturday and Sunday as we get some warmer air trying to come in advance of this next push of cold Arctic air. So Sunday being the warmest day across the region, high temperatures topping out in the 40s and 50s. Cooling off then as we head into Monday and Tuesday. By the time we get to Wednesday, the entire northeast region likely seeing below freezing temperatures for the majority of the day. We'll talk about low temperatures then as we head through the weekend. Waking up on Saturday morning with temperatures in the low 20s for just about everyone in the northeast region, climbing to around 30 degrees for the morning temperature on Sunday. Watching the transition of the air masses then once again as we wake up on Monday morning, watching things crash as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, waking up with temperatures Wednesday morning likely in the teens across the majority of the northeast region. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning Ag Forecast video, and I'll be back to talk about the northeast region on Tuesday morning. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.